Those Who Wear Black reached its breaking point as Captain Aaron Sol, pinned against the crystal pillar by the Zenthar warrior, executed his desperate gambit. With seconds ticking down to genocide, he reversed the frequency weapon against its creators, transforming their protective black armor into their deathly prison, while crystal towers shattered around them in a symphony of destruction and salvation. The vastness of space stretched before Captain Aaron Sol as he guided his patrol vessel along the borders of Oran-Fur. The year 2345 marked the 5th anniversary of the Red Peace Accord between humans and the Zenthar species. Yet tension still lingered in the frontier worlds. Oren's gaze drifted across the cockpit displays, monitoring the sectors where Galactic Alliance jurisdiction ended and the unknown began. "Status report, Lieutenant Kira," Aaron commanded, his voice steady despite the 12-hour patrol that had left his crew fatigued. "All systems nominal. Captain, border sensors detect no unauthorized crossings in the last cycle," replied Lieutenant Kira from her navigation console. "Though I must note unusual electromagnetic fluctuations in Sector 7. Aaron nodded, his eyes narrowing. Sector 7 bordered the crystal formations that made Oran-Fur both a strategic outpost and a scientific curiosity. The crystalline structures amplified and distorted signals, creating a perfect blind spot for those wishing to remain undetected. "Adjust course, let's take a closer look," he ordered. The patrol ship banked smoothly, its engines humming as they approached the glittering crystal forests that dominated the horizon. Oran-Fur had once been contested territory, claimed by both humans and Zenthar, until the Red Peace Accord established it as a shared research outpost. Now it served as a symbol of cooperation, at least officially. Aaron had served in the Galactic Alliance fleet for 15 years, rising through the ranks with a reputation for thoroughness and an unwavering belief in humanity's place among the stars. Unlike many of his peers who viewed alien species with suspicion, Aaron believed in the Alliance's mission of unity. Yet, he remained pragmatic, aware that peace was fragile, especially with warrior species like the Zenthar. "Captain, I'm detecting a vessel," Lieutenant Kira reported suddenly. "Zenthar design, powered down, no distress signals." "Life signs?" "Negative, sir." Aaron frowned. "Prepare boarding protocols, full containment gear." Within minutes, Aaron led a 3-person team through the airlock and into the silent Zenthar vessel. The ship's interior was bathed in emergency lighting, casting long shadows across the alien design that humans had only recently begun to understand. "Spread out. Search for survivors or logs," Aaron instructed, his breath fogging the inside of his helmet as he moved cautiously through the main corridor. The Zenthar ship was compact but efficient, designed for long-range reconnaissance. As Aaron reached the bridge, the sight before him made him pause. 3 Zenthar bodies lay motionless, their distinctive black armor reflecting the dim emergency lights. The armor, a symbol of elite Zenthar warriors, showed no signs of damage, no battle scars. "Captain," called Ensign Torres from behind him. "Found something in their data systems." Aaron joined Torres at a console where alien script scrolled rapidly. "Can you translate?" "Partially, sir. It appears to be a manifest and mission log. They identify themselves as those who wear black." The phrase sent a chill through Aaron. During his briefings on Zenthar culture, he had heard whispers of extremist factions that opposed the peace accord, but nothing official had ever been confirmed. "Download everything," he ordered, "and check their course history." As Torres worked, Aaron examined the bodies more closely. No obvious wounds, no signs of struggle. Their position suggested they had died at their posts, almost simultaneously. "Sir," Torres called again, his voice tight with concern. "Their last transmission, it's encrypted, but I can make out references to something called the Purification." Aaron's communicator chimed before he could respond. "Captain, return to the ship immediately," came Lieutenant Kira's urgent voice. We've received priority orders from Admiral Voss. All findings are to be classified. You're to return to headquarters without delay. Aaron exchanged glances with Torres. The Admiral's intervention was unusual and concerning. Understood. Prepare for departure, he replied, but not before securing a small data drive from the Zenthar console. Whatever those who wear black were planning. Aaron sensed it threatened the fragile peace the Alliance had worked so hard to build. Hours later, Aaron stood at attention in Admiral Helena Voss's office at Alliance headquarters. The Admiral, a stern woman with silver-streaked hair and eyes that had witnessed too many conflicts, reviewed his report with a deepening frown. Captain Saul, I understand your concern, but this matter requires delicacy, she said finally. The Zenthar High Command has already been informed of the vessel's discovery. They claim it was a research ship that suffered catastrophic life support failure. With respect, Admiral, that doesn't explain the reference to those who wear black, or the purification, Aaron countered. Admiral Voss leaned forward. The Red Peace Accord is holding by a thread. Captain, accusations of extremist factions could unravel 5 years of diplomatic work. She paused, studying him. However, your record suggests you're not one to exaggerate threats. She activated a holographic display, showing a classified file. There have been whispers among our intelligence network about a group within Zenthar society that considers humans an existential threat. They believe coexistence is impossible and advocate for preventative measures. Genocide, Aaron said flatly. Potentially, Voss conceded. But we lack concrete evidence. The Zenthar government officially denies their existence. And unofficially? Unofficially. I'm authorizing you to investigate, discreetly. You'll be temporarily reassigned as a diplomatic attaché to our research station on Oran-Fur. She handed him a secure tablet. You'll work with Major Marantau, our Zenthar language and culture specialist. Aaron scanned the assignment details. The mission parameters seem vague, Admiral. Intentionally so. Find out if those who wear black pose a genuine threat. But do not, I repeat, do not, create an interspecies incident. The Alliance Council would prefer peace built on willful ignorance than another war. Her expression softened slightly. I'm trusting your judgment, Captain. Don't make me regret it. 3 days later, Aaron's shuttle descended toward the crystalline landscape of Oran-Fur. From orbit, the planet resembled a shattered mirror, its surface dominated by towering crystal formations that refracted sunlight in dazzling patterns. Between these natural wonders sat the joint Human-Zenthar Research Facility, a sprawling complex of interconnected domes and laboratories. As the shuttle landed, Aaron noted the heightened security. Both human and Zenthar guards patrolled in separate units, their postures rigid with mutual distrust despite the supposed collaboration. Major Marantau waited at the landing pad, her slender frame belying the reputation that preceded her. Born on a frontier colony, Tau had dedicated her career to understanding Zenthar culture and language, becoming one of the few humans fluent in their complex dialect. Captain Saul, she greeted him with a crisp salute. Welcome to the edge of Alliance space. Major, Aaron returned the salute. I understand we'll be working closely on this assignment. Yes, though I'm still unclear on exactly what we're investigating. Her tone was measured, professional, but Aaron detected curiosity beneath the surface. Let's continue this conversation somewhere private, he suggested. Marin led him through the research facility, past laboratories where human and Zenthar scientists worked on separate projects. The collaborative spirit of the outpost clearly more aspirational than actual. They entered a small conference room, and Marin activated a signal jammer. Standard protocol, she explained. The walls have ears, some human, some not. Once secure, Aaron shared the details of his discovery and Admiral Voss's concerns. Marin listened attentively, her expression growing troubled. "Those who wear black," she repeated when he finished. The translation doesn't capture the cultural nuance. In Zenthar tradition, black armor is reserved for warriors who have severed all connections to civilian life, those who exist solely to serve their purpose. "Death squads?" Aaron asked. "More complex. They're revered and feared simultaneously. Think of Earth's ancient samurai or Spartan warriors, dedicated to their craft beyond normal understanding." She activated a holographic map of the region. "If such a group exists now, opposing the peace accord, they would operate from the shadows." Aaron pointed to the crystal formations surrounding the facility. "These create natural signal disruptions, perfect cover for clandestine operations." "The red zone," Marin nodded. "Officially off-limits due to navigation hazards. But," she hesitated. "But?" "There's an abandoned research station from before the Accord. The Zenthar established it to study the crystal's properties. Then, mysteriously abandoned it, after claiming the research was concluded." Her fingers traced a path through the crystal forest on the map. "I've always wondered what they discovered there." Aaron studied the location. "How soon can we organize an expedition?" "Officially? Never. The red zone is restricted under the Accord." A small smile crossed her face. "Unofficially? I can have a rover prepped by tomorrow, small enough to avoid detection, equipped with scientific instruments to maintain our cover story if questioned." "Tomorrow, then," Aaron confirmed. "Pack for contingencies. Major. I suspect we'll find more than abandoned research." The following day, as Oron the Four's primary sun crested the crystal peaks, Aaron and Marin departed in a rover disguised as a geological survey vehicle. They navigated through increasingly dense crystal formations, the structures rising hundreds of meters above them like frozen waterfalls of glass. "Remarkable," Aaron murmured as light cascaded through the formations, creating rainbow patterns across the rover's interior. "I've never seen anything like it." "The crystals contain trace elements not found elsewhere in the galaxy," Marin explained, expertly guiding the rover through narrow passages. "They amplify and redirect energy, light, sound, even certain radiation frequencies." The Zenthar were particularly interested in their communication properties. "Could they be weaponized?" Aaron asked, thinking of the purification mentioned in the ship's logs. Marin's hands tightened on the controls. "Theoretically, the right frequency could shatter them, creating a chain reaction. The resulting crystal dust would be problematic if inhaled." "Problematic. Microscopic crystal shards in the lungs wouldn't be pleasant for any species," she said grimly. "But I've never seen research suggesting the Zenthar pursued that application." As they penetrated deeper into the red zone, communication with the main facility grew sporadic, then failed completely. The crystals loomed closer on all sides, creating a labyrinthine path that Marin navigated from memory. "How much further?" Aaron asked, after several hours of tense silence. "We should be there." Marin pointed ahead, where the crystal forest opened into a small clearing. At its center stood a domed structure, its design distinctly Zenthar, with sharp angles and reinforced alloy walls. They parked the rover a safe distance away and approached on foot, environmental suits protecting them from Auron-Fee's thin atmosphere. The facility appeared abandoned, its entrance sealed and power systems dormant. "No signs of recent activity," Aaron observed, scanning the perimeter. "Don't be so certain," Marin replied, pointing to nearly invisible markings near the entrance. "These are fresh, ritual symbols asking ancestral protection. No Zenthar would enter a potentially dangerous place without them." Aaron examined the control panel beside the sealed door. "Can you get us in?" Marin studied the alien interface. "Yes, but it will register our entry in the system. We'll have to be quick then." With practiced movements, Marin bypassed the security protocols, and the massive door slid open with a hiss of equalized pressure. They entered a darkened antechamber, their suit lights casting long shadows across abandoned equipment. Power's been shut down deliberately, Marin noted, examining a control panel. But the facility's not completely dead. Backup systems are in standby mode. Can you restore limited power? Enough for lighting and basic systems, but nothing that would trigger external alerts? Marin nodded and set to work. Minutes later, dim emergency lighting flickered to life, revealing a research facility in disarray, not from destruction, but from hasty abandonment. Workstations remained active, data tablets lay scattered, and personal effects sat untouched. They left in a hurry, Aaron observed, examining a half-consumed meal preserved by the sealed environment. Something spooked them. Or they completed their work, Marin suggested, already accessing a computer terminal. These systems are still operational, just dormant. While Marin worked to access the research data, Aaron explored the facility methodically. Most areas contained standard laboratory equipment, analysis tools, sample storage, and communication arrays, but nothing immediately sinister. Then he discovered a sealed door at the facility's core, its security protocols more robust than the exterior entrance. "Major," he called, "I need your expertise here." Marin joined him, her expression troubled. "I've reviewed some of their research logs. They were studying the crystal's resonance frequencies, specifically how they interact with biological material." "Weaponization," Aaron concluded. "It appears so. And this door." She examined the security panel. "This requires high-level Zenthar military clearance. I can't bypass it with my knowledge alone." Aaron considered their options. "The data you accessed, could it help us understand what they were developing?" "Partially. The reports reference Project Eclipse, a method of using crystal resonance to target specific genetic markers." She hesitated. "Human genetic markers, specifically." The implications chilled Aaron. A weapon that could target humans exclusively would render the peace accord meaningless. It would give those who wear black the ability to eliminate humanity while leaving other species unharmed. "We need what's behind this door," he decided. "I agree, but—" Marin stopped abruptly, her head tilting as she listened. "Do you hear that?" At first, Aaron heard nothing, then detected a faint vibration through the floor. "Something's activating." The power restoration must have triggered automated systems, Marin realized, rushing back to the terminal she'd been accessing. "Someone's accessing this facility remotely. They know we're here." Alarms suddenly blared throughout the complex, and the main entrance sealed with a decisive thud. Display screens flashed with Zenthar script that Aaron couldn't read, but the red coloration conveyed the message clearly enough. "What does it say?" he demanded. "Containment protocol initiated," Marin translated, fingers flying over the controls. "Unauthorized presence detected. Purification sequence beginning." The phrase from the ship's logs, "the purification," now took on immediate, threatening meaning. "Can you stop it?" "I'm trying, but the commands are being overridden from an external source." Marin's voice remained calm, but her movements betrayed urgency. "Captain, look at this." One screen displayed a schematic of the facility with a countdown timer. Surrounding the schematic were images of crystal formations throughout the red zone, each marked with what appeared to be transmission nodes. "They've turned the entire crystal forest into a weapon," Marin realized. "Those nodes will amplify and distribute whatever's being released from this facility." Aaron made a swift decision. "We need to split up. Continue trying to abort the sequence from here. I'm going to force that sealed door open. There must be a manual override or control center inside." "How will you get through military-grade security?" Aaron unholstered his service weapon. "The old-fashioned way. Keep communicating on our suit channels." While Marin worked frantically at the terminal, Aaron returned to the sealed door and examined it carefully. Direct energy weapons would likely ricochet in the confined space, but the door's hydraulic mechanisms remained vulnerable. He placed precisely targeted shots at the hydraulic seals, causing fluid to leak and pressure to drop. With the system compromised, he wedged a metal bar from nearby equipment into the door seam and applied leverage, slowly forcing the heavy door to slide partially open. "I'm through," he reported to Marin. "What's the status on the countdown?" 8 minutes remaining. Her voice came through his helmet comm. "I've managed to slow the sequence, but can't abort it. Whatever they're planning to release, the delivery system is primed and ready." Aaron squeezed through the gap and found himself in a spherical chamber dominated by a central pillar of crystal, larger and more perfect than any they had seen outside. Surrounding it were concentric rings of equipment, all focused on the crystal. "Major, I'm looking at some kind of amplification chamber. The crystal appears to be the focal point. That matches the research data. They're using it as a resonance amplifier. It would exponentially increase the effective range of whatever they're dispersing." Aaron circled the chamber, noting containers of refined crystal dust connected to distribution tubes. "I see what appears to be the delivery mechanism. Containers of processed crystal, ready for dispersion." "Don't touch them," Marin warned. "If they've been frequency-tuned to human genetics, even minimal exposure could be dangerous." As Aaron searched for the control systems, a hidden door on the opposite side of the chamber slid open. He ducked behind equipment as 3 figures entered, Zenthar warriors in distinctive black armor. "We have company," he whispered into his comm. 3 Zenthar, full black armor. They're checking the systems." "They must have been alerted when we accessed the facility," Marin replied. "Captain, the countdown has accelerated. We now have less than 5 minutes. Aaron assessed his options. Direct confrontation with 3 Zenthar warriors would be suicidal. Their enhanced strength and combat training made them formidable opponents. Yet allowing them to complete the purification sequence was unthinkable. He observed their movements, noting that they focused on a control console integrated with the crystal pillar. One Zenthar, distinguished by elaborate markings on its armor, appeared to be directing the others. "Major, I need a distraction," Aaron decided. "Can you trigger emergency protocols in another section of the facility?" "I can activate fire suppression in the main laboratory," Marin confirmed. 3-minute mark, Captain. "Do it!" Moments later, alarms blared in a different pitch, and 2 of the Zenthar warriors hurried from the chamber to investigate. The leader remained, working intently at the crystal pillar's controls. Aaron moved silently, approaching from the warrior's blind spot. He had one advantage. Zenthar relied heavily on sound for situational awareness, and the alarms disrupted their sensitive hearing. When he was within striking distance, Aaron lunged, using a shock baton to target the vulnerable joint between the Zenthar's helmet and body armor. The warrior roared in pain and surprise, whirling to face him with remarkable speed despite the injury. "Human," the Zenthar snarled in heavily accented standard language. "You are too late." "I don't think so," Aaron countered, circling cautiously. "Whatever you're planning ends now." The Zenthar laughed, a guttural sound. "The purification cannot be stopped. Those who wear black have prepared for generations. Today, the human infection will be cleansed from Oran 4, tomorrow, from the galaxy." They clashed in brutal combat. The Zenthar's superior strength offset by Aaron's agility and the lingering effect of the shock baton. Aaron fought defensively, trying to maneuver toward the control console while evading devastating blows that could crush his environmental suit and the bones beneath. 2 minutes. Marin's voice came through his comm. "Captain, I've discovered something. The system isn't designed to release a biological agent. It's worse. They're using the crystals themselves as the weapon." Aaron narrowly avoided a sweeping attack that would have taken his head off. "Explain!" "The resonance frequency they've calibrated. It will shatter all crystal formations in the red zone simultaneously. The resulting microcrystalline dust will be dispersed across the entire planet's atmosphere, killing anyone who breathes it," Aaron realized, ducking under another attack. "No, killing only humans. They've engineered the frequency to interact specifically with human lung tissue. Other species will be unaffected. The Zenthar warrior pressed his attack, driving Aaron back against the crystal pillar. You understand now, human? A perfect solution. No evidence of attack. No violation of your precious accord. Simply a tragic environmental disaster that targets only your kind. Inspiration struck Aaron as his back pressed against the cool crystal surface. The pillar wasn't just an amplifier. It was the primary control mechanism. And Zenthar black armor was designed to protect against various frequencies. Major, he gasped as he parried another blow. The resonance frequency. Can it be reversed? Theoretically, yes, but... Do it! Invert the frequency pattern and maximize amplitude. Aaron grappled with the Zenthar warrior, purposely keeping them both in contact with the crystal pillar. The warrior, sensing Aaron's desperation, pressed his advantage, pinning Aaron against the crystal surface with crushing force. 1 minute to purification, the warrior hissed triumphantly. Major, now! Aaron shouted. From the main laboratory, Marin executed the commands, reversing the carefully calibrated frequency pattern and amplifying it through the facility's systems. The crystal pillar began to vibrate, emitting a high-pitched tone that rapidly intensified. The Zenthar warrior released Aaron abruptly, clutching at his helmet. What have you done? Reverse the target, Aaron explained, backing away from the increasingly unstable crystal. Your armor is designed to resonate with the crystal frequency, to protect you while you deployed the weapon. But now... The black armor began to vibrate in harmony with the crystal, the protective features becoming a deadly liability. The Zenthar warrior howled in agony as microscopic fractures appeared across the armor's surface. Crystal dust penetrating the supposedly impenetrable protection. Captain, the facility's becoming unstable, Marin warned. The crystal matrix is approaching critical resonance. We have less than a minute to evacuate. Aaron rushed to the control console, confirming that the purification sequence had been corrupted. The distribution system designed to spread crystal dust throughout Orenfree's atmosphere was now locked down. Containment seals engaged. Behind him, the Zenthar warrior collapsed. Black armor now dulled with a fine layer of crystal particles. The reversed frequency had turned their own weapon against them, with devastating efficiency. Sequence aborted, Aaron confirmed, racing back toward the chamber entrance. Major, meet me at the main exit. The facility trembled around them as Aaron navigated back through increasingly unstable corridors. Crystal elements incorporated into the structure began to fracture, releasing showers of sparks and whining with discordant frequencies. He found Marin at the main entrance, working to override the lockdown protocols. The other Zenthar warriors? He asked. Neutralized by the same frequency reversal, she replied grimly. Their armor became their coffin. With seconds remaining, Marin bypassed the final security measure, and the main door slid open. They sprinted to their rover as the research facility behind them began to implode, crystal components collapsing inward in a devastating chain reaction. Drive, Aaron ordered as they leapt into the vehicle. Marin gunned the engines, navigating through the crystal forest as massive formations around them began to shiver and crack. The reverberating frequency spread outward from the facility, weakening crystal structures throughout the red zone. They raced against a wave of destruction, massive crystal towers collapsing behind them in spectacular cascades of refracted light. The rover's systems fluctuated under the onslaught of discordant frequencies, but Marin's skillful piloting kept them just ahead of the devastation. As they cleared the edge of the red zone, a final, catastrophic collapse consumed the crystal forest. A plume of dust rose behind them, but the containment measures Aaron had activated ensured it remained localized, deadly to those who wear black, but prevented from spreading to the wider atmosphere. Hours later, after decontamination procedures and debriefing with local security forces, Aaron and Marin sat in a secure conference room at the research facility. Admiral Voss's holographic projection regarded them with a mixture of relief and concern. "Your report is troubling, Captain," the Admiral said. "Confirmation of a Zenthar extremist faction with capability and intent to commit genocide against humans changes our strategic position considerably." "The evidence is irrefutable," Aaron confirmed. "The facility's records, which Major Tau recovered, document years of preparation. Those who wear black have cells throughout Zenthar territory." "And their leadership?" "The warrior I encountered claimed to be a field commander, not the organization's leader," Aaron explained. "He mentioned a Marshal Zulkar, who appears to oversee their operations." Admiral Voss nodded gravely. "I'll present this to the Alliance Council immediately. The Zenthar government will be confronted with this evidence. They can no longer deny the existence of these extremists." "With respect, Admiral," Marin interjected, "confrontation may not be the most effective approach. The Zenthar cultural concept of shame makes them resistant to public accusations." "What do you suggest, Major?" "A joint human-Zenthar task force to address extremism on both sides. Present it as a mutual security concern rather than placing blame." The Admiral considered this. "A diplomatic approach, then. It may preserve the accord while we strengthen our positions." She turned to Aaron. "Captain Saul, your actions prevented what could have been the first strike in an interspecies war. For that, you have my gratitude and that of the Alliance." After the Admiral's hologram faded, Aaron and Marin sat in contemplative silence. The day's events had forged an unexpected bond between them, the kind that comes only from facing death together. "They're still out there," Aaron said finally. "We stopped one attack, but those who wear black won't abandon their cause so easily." "No," Marin agreed. "Their convictions run too deep. But today proved something important, that humans and Zenthar can work together effectively, even against those who would divide us." Aaron glanced out the viewport at the distant plume of dust still rising from where the crystal forest had stood. "Do you think peace is really possible? Not just accords and treaties, but genuine coexistence?" Marin considered the question carefully. "I believe it's worth fighting for. What we did today, a human and a specialist in Zenthar culture combining our strengths, that's the future the extremists fear." "Then we keep building that future," Aaron decided, "one day at a time." As night fell over Orenfur, the remaining crystal formations caught the last rays of the setting sun, transforming the horizon into a brilliant display of refracted light, beauty emerging from danger, a fitting metaphor for the fragile peace they had managed to preserve. In the shadows beyond the border outpost, however, a Zenthar communication array activated briefly, sending an encrypted message to a distant receiver. First attempt failed. The humans were more resourceful than anticipated. Proceeding to contingency plan. Those who wear black endure. Marshal Zulkar, Supreme Commander of the Black Armored Warriors, received the message in his hidden fortress, deep within Zenthar space. His ancient eyes narrowed as he considered the setback. The human captain, this Aaron Saul, had proven unexpectedly capable. Such an adversary deserved respect, even as he plotted their eventual destruction. "Prepare the second phase," he ordered his lieutenants. "The purification will proceed." The war for the galaxy's future had only just begun. 2 weeks after the events at the Crystal Forest, Aaron found himself summoned to a classified briefing at Alliance headquarters. The discovery of those who wear black had sent shockwaves through the diplomatic community, forcing both humans and Zenthar to confront the extremist threat lurking beneath the surface of their fragile peace. Admiral Voss greeted him with uncharacteristic warmth. "Captain Saul, the Alliance Council has reviewed your actions on Orenfur. While the destruction of the Crystal Forest represents a significant scientific loss, your prevention of a genocidal attack has been recognized at the highest levels." She handed him a datapad containing new orders. "You're being reassigned. The Alliance is forming a specialized task force to investigate and counter extremist threats to interspecies peace. Given your first-hand experience with those who wear black, you're the logical choice to lead the human contingent. Aaron scanned the orders, noting one name in particular. Major Tao will be joining as well. Her expertise in Zenthar culture is irreplaceable, the Admiral confirmed. Additionally, the Zenthar High Command has assigned one of their own officers, a gesture of cooperation we couldn't have imagined before your discovery. And our mandate? To ensure that those who wear black never succeed in their mission. Admiral Voss said solemnly, "The galaxy's future depends on it." As Aaron left the Admiral's office, he found Marin waiting in the corridor, her expression suggesting she'd already received similar orders. "Ready for another adventure, Captain?" she asked with a hint of a smile. "As long as it doesn't involve self-destructing crystal forests," Aaron replied, returning her smile. "Though something tells me we haven't seen the last of Marshal Zulkar and his warriors." "No," Marin agreed, falling into step beside him as they walked toward an uncertain future. "But next time, we'll be ready for them." Above them, the stars of the Galactic Alliance shone. Countless worlds where humans and aliens alike looked toward a shared horizon, a future that Aaron Sol had helped ensure would come to pass, despite those who would shroud it in darkness.